But I had some gut issues that really came to the fore over the last 12 months. And the diagnosis of that was pretty bleak. I was going to be up for a string of serious surgeries to remove what was diagnosed as complex transfectorial fistula, which came from having a really unhealthy gut for a really long time. So these abscesses that would form down there and leave behind these terrible tracks that don't heal themselves. And I was looking at 2024 was going to be a year of 8 to 10 surgeries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at literally $8,000 a pop.
All right. Carnivore Soldier coming at you from Austin, Texas. Today, we got another podcaster. This is the Carnivore Way podcast, where I interview carnivores and carnivore content creators and talk about how their life's been changed through this diet and this way of eating and just how life is for them. So let's go ahead and bring in my guest. This is Pete from all the way from Brisbane, Australia. Hey, Pete, how's it going, man?
Yeah, really well, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Great, brother. You're
really
from Brisbane. You guys call it Brizzy, right?
Yeah, Brisbane, or if you're a real local, you call it Bris Vegas.
Vegas. Why is that? Do you have casinos?
It originated in the 90s when Brisbane was like the place where nothing happened. So it's quite an ironic statement.
Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I'm Pete from Brisbane, carnivore currently of 8 months. I started a YouTube channel on the 1st of January, 2024. So I'm really beginning that journey right now as I try and spread the carnivore message. I have lost 65 pounds since December 2022 when I started keto. I've cured depression and anxiety, and I'm healing a gut issue as well. So my carnivore experience is quite the mixed bag.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. Mine was too. It's the things that I didn't expect outweigh the things that I did expect. I just did it for weight.
Yep.
And when the weight came off, that was amazing. That in itself was great. But the unexpected things like not having allergy pills anymore, not taking allergy pills at all, not aching in the morning, springing up in the morning with tons of energy, not sitting on my couch. My couch is neglected now. And it used to be my primary spot.
Me too. I hate the couch. Every evening, I'm like, what can I do? What can I do with myself? I hate watching TV.
I know.
So I could keep myself much busier these days.
Now, I'm a hockey fan, so if the Red Wings are playing, I'll go watch a hockey game. But that's specific.
Yeah, well, that's different.
That's
different. Exactly. I often say that came for the weight loss, stay for the mental health improvements, etc.
I mean, I used to be the whole Netflix binge guy. I'd binge a show and just sit there for hours and watch shows and eat. Of course, I ate.
Yeah.
Because I was eating that never satiating, always craving food. And that's gone too. So,
all right. I should also add, I guess that ties into the question you've just thrown up. Yeah. You were eating on the couch. I was drinking on the couch quite a lot too. So alcohol was unfortunately a big part of my life up until 6 months ago. So I'd already started carnivore and was still on the drink, and carnivore's helped with that. But in tying to your question, we wind back to December 2022, and after 20 years of yo-yo dieting, so I've been yo-yo dieting since I was 27. I'm now 48. The first time I lost 30 kilograms, 60 odd pounds, I went on this is back 20 years ago when dietary advice was here nor there. And I went on a low fat, low carbohydrate diet and also cut out a lot of meat, lots of vegetarian dishes, protein powders from the gym. And I lost weight fairly quickly. I worked out pretty hard. But the side effects, and I firmly believe there were side effects to that approach to weight loss, where I triggered off 20 years of depression and anxiety that became overwhelming for me and controlled my life for 2 decades. I'm pretty sure that was down to losing weight in an unhealthy way, probably stuffing up my metabolic health.
I think it's also tied to your blood chemistry, because we've been preached at to lower our cholesterol too, right?
Yeah,
and that kind of diet does lower your cholesterol. Unfortunately,
it would have.
Low cholesterol correlates to depression, mental health issues, including schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, suicide, and acting violent. And impulsive gambling. And so there's a lot of other addictions that are caused by low cholesterol too. Could be drinking. That could be part of it as well.
Yeah. Well,
So I noticed that
they can relate to that.
I drink every night, and that was just to get me to wind down, to go to bed. I'd have bourbon every night, bourbon or whiskey, right? That was my thing. And just on ice, no mixed or anything, because I was carnivore.
Yeah.
Before I was carnivore.
I was a neat whiskey man.
Drinking clean. Yeah, I was drinking clean. But once my blood got all normalized, I don't really want it anymore. It was easy to quit. It was super easy to quit, actually. It was not hard at all. Now I'm not an alcoholic, I don't think, because maybe if I was, I'd be craving it. I don't know. That might be a physiological thing. Mine was probably more of a mental thing, but I think the blood chemistry changed. And that's part of why I started my channel, was the suicide rate for military veterans and first responders is, well, for everyone it's gone up, but for them it's absurdly high. And it's probably because we aren't the warrior class, so we don't like to ask for help. We don't like to show weakness. We don't like to go to doctors. As a class of people, we typically internalize things. We suck it up and we drive on. And I think that's pretty dangerous when you have this low cholesterol, impulsive behavior, mental illness link due to our diet. And I think all the diet did was move the fulcrum over and make it easier to tip to suicide. And when the problems in life are going to happen, your relationships, your money, your legal issues, they're going to happen to everyone. Yeah. But when your fulcrum's tipped over here, you might pick suicide, where when it's just normal, you can probably handle it. And that's what I think's happened.
Exactly.
So that's why I started my idea, because I realized the difference in me. Because I wake up, I don't know about your mental health, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but when I wake up, incredibly positive attitude. Every day is a good day. Every day is a good day. Never had that before. Every day for the last 290 days has been a good day. Not one bad day. It's crazy.
It's incredible. It's incredible, right?
It's super incredible.
It's mind-blowing. Yeah. But that's such a great point about veterans not being able to ask for help. I can see that being such a problem, because I did ask for help. So I went in and out of doctors and psychologists and ended up at a psychiatrist's office as well. And I was put on 4 different drugs, and none of them worked. And
SSRIs?
2 SSRIs. So that was Prozac and sertraline.
Yeah, bad stuff.
And then also, awful. And also Valium at one point. And then the worst of them all was pregabalin, which is a drug called Lyrica, which is only being used. That's being used experimentally for mental health. It's primarily used for nerve pain and nerve damage. Yeah. But the psychiatrist threw me on that, and man, that's a crazy story. Like within 2 days of having that drug, I fell down the staircase at home. I just literally missed a step.
Oh wow!
And pummeled down that wooden staircase. And the doctor said I was lucky not to cause spinal injury on that fall. I had a bruise the size of giant bruise on my waist. It almost killed me just taking that drug for 2 days.
And the other thing is
incredible.
If these vets do ask for help, they get that kind of care, standard care, which is not good. It's not going to fix the problem. It's going to make things worse. And I know when people go to the VA, we have PTSD, whatever they have, and they say they have problems, this is what they get given. They get given a cocktail of drugs, and then they start getting side effects. So they get another drug to address that side effect. And pretty soon they have a cascade of drugs on their nightstand. And I know people personally that have that. And I was afraid of that. I was terrified that would happen to me. So I never asked for help. I just didn't want to go down that road. I was like, I'll just suck it up and be. And I figured it was normal. I figured being depressed every now and then was normal. I just thought that's what happened. And anxiety, normal, right?
Yeah. When anxiety first hit me, I had a panic attack at work 18 years ago in a closed door meeting. So I was in a room with 4 executives. It was just a normal day at work, but then it hit me. And I didn't actually know what it was. I'd never experienced panic before. So I'm sitting in the room starts caving in, the walls closing in, you're sweating, your heart's racing, your eyes on the door. Clearly the people in the room were like, what's going on with this guy?
Yeah.
Didn't say anything. I remember walking out to my car just going, what the hell was that? What was that about?
Yeah. Did you get the hot flash like from cortisol where you get hot, cold?
The works. It was a really, I thought I was having a heart attack. It was a really severe panic attack. And that compounded itself into becoming a fear of the fear. For 20 years, I couldn't fly without being medicated because I was so scared of getting a panic attack inside a claustrophobic confined space, like inside a plane. it just became this, it fed itself. And then that being scared of anxiety, feeling sorry for myself that I had this thing made me depressed. So it really compounds itself. It's an awful affliction.
Yeah, I always had fear too before carnivore. And the fear was one, Alzheimer's, because my mother died at 67, right. 10 years older than I am now. And her last 10 years quality of life was awful. And I was thinking, okay, this is it. I'm probably going to go down the same road because it's genetic, because that's what they tell us, right?
Yeah.
And then, I'm probably going to get it. And then, of course, cancer was always in the back of my mind too, because I have friends who gotten cancer, people, veterans I know. And I'm thinking, okay, when's the cancer going to get me? Every time I go for colonoscopy, for there's polyps or whatever, when's cancer coming? I just knew it was coming. Now I don't fear that at all. I have no fear whatsoever. It doesn't even enter my mind. If it does, I know how I'm going to fight it. I already got a plan. I could talk to DC. He'll hook me up. But I already have a plan. I already know glucose and glutamine fuel it. And there's two things you can do. You can eat a strict carbohydrate-free diet, and then you can take a glutamine inhibitor, like a lot of antivirals out there, and you can fight almost every cancer with that really effectively. So I don't have any problem at all. I'm pretty good. And I haven't been sick. I used to get sick in the summer and in the winter, in the fall and the winter. I used to get sick 3 times a year. No sickness this summer, no sickness in the fall. And I even took care of my son when he was sick, and he had strep, and I didn't get it at all. It was amazing. And I didn't protect myself. I just did my thing. How about you? You've been sick since you've been on this?
Not at all. I think it's incredible. Like, you develop this confidence that you're not going to. And I wonder if that comes from your gut controls. There's a gut-brain connection. Yeah. So if you're feeling really great inside, you almost know that, well, I'm not going to get sick because I feel so amazing. It's like a sixth sense sort of thing.
Yeah, it's this biochemical engine we're in is so amazing. You think of amazing machines like the space shuttle or like the Ferrari or whatever. They're nothing compared to what we got. We got the skin, we got the gut, we got all these things, and the taste buds and the smell and the brain and all these things going on that just work together.
And then the mitochondria when you really zoom in, all that, this, like you said, this machine that's just running at all times, and you're not conscious of it.
Super amazing. And if it's just given the right fuel, you're good. If you try to put the wrong fuel in the space shuttle, or you put the wrong fuel in a Ferrari, guess what? It's not going to be very good. It may get from point A to point B, but it may not do it safely, and it may not do it at what it's designed to do. So putting the right fuel in the body, man, we just take off.
It's this is the ancestral. This is the ancestral fuel that we're meant to eat. It's
100%.
It's a no-brainer.
I love the documentaries. I don't know if you've seen a documentary or Fat Fiction, or
I've seen Fat Fiction. I don't know if Fat Fiction has the Aborigines in it, but there's a couple of documentaries that do. And the Australian Aborigines, what's interesting is they pretty recently, from the 1950s, switched to a Western diet, right? Because they were still hunter-gatherers. And and when they were in the 40s and 50s and before that, they died of old age typically. Now they're dying of hypertension and diabetes and cancer. And it's crazy because they never had that. And that's just they're not equipped.
They're
they're totally not equipped for our diet at all.
And there's one study, and we're not equipped for it either, though. I mean, our diet.
Well, that's right. Yeah, we've had slightly long.
And American Indians are no different. The American Indians on the reservations have a higher rate of cancer and obesity and diabetes than we do in the Western, because we've had exposure longer. So maybe we can tolerate it a little better. Yeah, but not since the 80s, because since the 80s, that's when they switched and added all the sugar and took all the fat out. And that's when they just really killed us. Ansel Keys destroyed generations. I hope that guy has got a special place in hell burning for him. When I went a month on this diet, 2 things happened to me. One, I got stoked. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. The other thing, I got pissed off. Like, why did I not know this? Why did I not do this for 50 years or 30 years or 40 years even? And I'm super excited and grateful that I have it, but I wish I would have found it earlier.
Yeah, me too. I touch on that in one of my videos, the fact that we've been brainwashed for so long, since the 40s and 50s, because of that guy. And because of Kellogg's as well, and other various.
Graham crackers, Kellogg's, all those guys.
Yeah. And when you dig into the history of these guys, it's all pretty sordid and not very nice at all.
No.
Yes, and so my parents were 50s kids.
Yeah.
So they were brought up, and post-war kids as well. They were classic post-war babies where their parents had done it really tough. My grandfather was a desert rat in Egypt. And he came back. Yeah, but he came back a changed man. He was a pharmacist and a lovely man, but he came back from the war, and he was, according to my father, he was a much quieter, more reserved person, just sat quietly in his chair each night, and he'd seen some stuff over there. And so my mum and dad were raised with this sort of, oh no, eat the sugar, eat the cereal, eat the sweets and the ice creams. And that filtered through to me and my siblings as well. So we didn't stand a chance. We were raised on sugar.
And it's unfortunate because we knew back in the 20s and 30s, Otto Warburg did studies on cancer and sugar. And we knew that sugar fed that. But this whole sugar versus fat argument that happened after the Eisenhower's heart attack in America and pushed by Ancel Keys, then sugar got pushed to the forefront and fat got backburnered, and we all just got it flooded in. But all this knowledge we had from the low carb stuff back when Dr. Salisbury did Salisbury steaks and all these things, and they were treating people with high fat, low carb diets. And we had all that knowledge up till the 20s. And then the Great Depression happened, and everyone was just trying to survive, and no one even concentrated on that stuff. And then the war happened. And after World War II, then the 50s happened. It was the boom, and everyone was just wanting to live, and there was abundance of everything, and no one was worried about health, and they thought they were eating healthy anyway. So they just ate a square meal back then. That's what I grew up eating, the square meal, before the food pyramid came in. Then what's interesting is the food pyramid actually coincides with two things: the McGovern Commission, which was trying to find cheap food to feed the poor people in America, and that's where they came up with that food pyramid. And the other thing is there was a Soviet grain embargo that Jimmy Carter signed into law in 79 or 80. And that grain embargo, what it did is that we're not going to sell grain to the Soviet Union anymore. And it was meant to hurt them, but it didn't hurt them at all. They just went and bought from other people. There's tons of grain sellers. And what it hurt was our farmers. Our farmers had untold numbers of tons of grain sitting there rotting. And they said, we got to get this out. So let's put extra grain portions in the food pyramid. So even though the food pyramid said 4 or 5, they went 7 or 8 portions per day is the recommendation. And then grain became a number one thing. It's crazy, right?
Who eats 7 or 8 times a day to start with? But yeah, it's
7 or 8 portions. And they don't also, this is the other thing. What is a portion? That was never defined. It was never defined in that McGovern Commission. So a portion could be, what is that, a cup? Is it a half a cup? Is it 16 ounces? Is it 10 ounces?
Is it a bowl, a plateful? Yeah.
So it was just insane. That and then the 80s, the carbs in, carbs out thing. So we just went down the rabbit hole the wrong direction, guided by our government, which was paid for by Kellogg, Graham, and all the food companies. So
I remember that in the 80s when my mom tried to lose some weight and everything became fat-free and skim milk.
Yeah.
But prior to that, up until, because I was born in 75, so prior to that, up until about the age of 6, I was looked after a lot by my grandmother, who was born in 1914. And my memories of eating Gran's food were things like livers and blood sausage. I really enjoyed black. I have really fond memories of eating that. I still love liver to this day. I don't have it much, but I still really like the taste of it because it makes me think of Gran. And it's really great to have the chance to be fed by someone from that era. But that all changed pretty quickly in the 80s. And then we moved so Scotland was still fairly, mince and tatties is the big dish over there. So you're having mince and potatoes for dinner quite often. So it's still square meals, like you said before. But then when I moved to Australia in 1987, Australia was definitely more Americanized than Scotland had been. So we all of a sudden were exposed to McDonald's. There was no McDonald's in Scotland when I was a kid. There was no Pizza Hut, but we had it all here in Australia. So my parents, no fault of their own, but they were excited to, let's go out and try Pizza Hut. Let's go out and try McDonald's, all these new things. And we loved it. We loved it as kids. But looking back on it, it wasn't the best thing at all.
Now, where in Scotland did you grow up before you moved?
For Ayrshire, so close to Glasgow.
Okay, I've been to Glasgow.
Great place.
Yeah, I love Scotland. It was fun. I went in the summer. It was the coldest summer I ever had.
Yeah, I bet.
We went to the beach, and people were actually getting in the water. I was like, oh my God. I went and put my foot in. I was like, no way.
That's what's so funny about over there. When the sun comes out, they call it tops off. The sun's out.
The sun was out.
Everyone rips off the shirt, but it's still freezing.
Yeah, I went to Dornoch. I went to Dornoch, went to Glasgow, Bonar Bridge. I went up to Cape Wrath all the way to the top. I went to a lot of, I enjoyed it. I saw a lot of castles. It was beautiful. Scotland, if you ever get a chance to go, it's worth going for sure. But there was none of that there when I went. There was no fast food anywhere. It
Yeah.
was not.
Yeah.
I stayed at bed and breakfast as B&Bs, and it was a fun trip. And that was in the 80s when I went.
In the 80s,
so.
in the 80s. So yeah, there were no McDonald's in Scotland, but there was
Nope.
one in London. London had a McDonald's, and that was about it. Down in England, I remember playing in old train tracks from the 1800s, and playing under bridges that had been built in the 1700s, and it's a rich history over there. It's a lovely place. And,
I stayed in a house that was 750 years old. And that's when it struck me. I'm like, this house is like 400 years older than my country. It's called the Old Invernald Farmhouse. Been there so long, they don't have an address. It's just you write a letter to the Old Invernald Farmhouse, and they know it. It's been there forever, man.
Yeah, I love it. If the walls could talk, those buildings are amazing.
And they were thick walls, man. They were like that. They're just huge, and there's no hot water upstairs, so you had to heat the water downstairs and bring it up to the bathtub and pour it in. There's no hot running water up there. It was cool. It was just interesting. I mean, it was a great trip.
Such a contrast here. It was such a contrast in Australia. It's a 100-year-old European settlement country. You have to really spend time with the Aborigines or the indigenous people to feel that culture. I was lucky enough to spend a week in country with some indigenous people in the past, and that was one of the best weeks of my life.
And were they actually living the Western lifestyle, or were they actually doing some hunting gathering too?
They were. So there was a bunch of elders who were really trying to live that lifestyle, and younger people who were trying to reconnect with their lifestyle. And I was shooting a documentary, so I was lucky enough to spend time and learn quite a lot over that week. Magical time. Anyway, I digress.
There was a study in one of the documentaries I did a review on. It might be, not sure which one it was, Fat the documentary or Fat the documentary 2, but there was a study where an Australian doctor talked like 7 Aborigines that were living the Western lifestyle. They all had pre-diabetes or all overweight. They were just to go live for a month the old lifestyle, and they did. And all their problems were they lost all this weight after a month. They were less active. They didn't have. It's not that there was calories in calories. They were doing less work. They lost weight and they felt amazing, and all their blood markers got better. Yeah. There you go, carnivore, right? Yeah,
living on goanna and kangaroo, and really respecting that animal too. If they'd eaten kangaroo that night, then their entertainment would be a kangaroo dance to pay respects to that animal. So it all ties together. It ties together beautifully. It's fantastic.
American Indians do that. And if you've ever, there's a great movie where they kill a deer, and then the 3 Indians, the last of the Mohicans. If you haven't seen it, it's great. It's great.
Right. No, I haven't actually, but yeah, I know the film.
Great cinematography. It's, Daniel Day-Lewis plays an Indian, but anyway, they kill this deer, and once they kill it, the dad and the 2 brothers, they basically thank the deer for giving them, and it's awesome. They pay honor before they dress it. Really cool.
Yeah,
I'm into that. So anyway. I hate to. I don't let any meat go to waste in my house. I eat it all.
No,
I'm going to honor the animal. So, what's the physical and mental health effects of carnivore been like for you and your family? If your family's doing it, you can talk about that too a little bit if you want.
Yeah, sure. Well, obviously, telling the story about depression and anxiety before, it's been cured. I'm not depressed. Yeah. I'm not anxious. I'm a new man. I've got my life back 100%. Yeah. I wake up every day with a zest for life, and I've started doing so. The YouTube's a big part of it, and interacting with this community. I've joined a gym. I go for walks. I used to pay a guy to mow my lawn. It seems ridiculous. I mow the lawn myself now. These are the small wins. It sounds overly dramatic to say my life has changed, but my life has changed. It's like a reboot. It's like I've said this before, someone's taken out the old brain, put a new one in. The old physiology has been replaced. It's been updated. I've had an upgrade. It's incredible. So obviously those effects ripple through to the people around you. I can see. So I have 4 sons, aged between 14 and 20. Ewan's going to be 21 in February. And obviously you don't reveal to your sons. They've had a great upbringing and a great life. I was pretty down a lot during the early days of their lives. You don't reveal. You don't get to tell your sons that you're depressed and you're anxious. You're not going to do that. But they can see the difference hugely. You can almost see them looking at you differently. I'll announce things I'm going to do. And I said the other day to one of my middle sons, did you ever think your dad would be a YouTuber? He's like, nah.
Right.
Like, not a chance. Just little things like that. It's incredible. And my wife, Michelle, we can go into this, but I had some gut issues that really came to the fore over the last 12 months. And the diagnosis of that was pretty bleak. I was going to be up for a string of serious surgeries to remove what was diagnosed as complex transfectorial fistula, which came from having a really unhealthy gut for a really long time. So these abscesses that would form down there and leave behind these terrible tracks that don't heal themselves. And I was looking at 2024 was going to be a year of 8 to 10 surgeries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at literally $8,000 a pop.
Wow.
So I got that diagnosis mid last year, and it floored me. And also the surgeries, it's a really difficult thing to cure. So the surgeries, even though the surgeons are getting good at it, it's still viewed as experimental to a degree. And there's a 40% chance of losing a major part of your bowel and walking away with a colostomy.
Oh my gosh, that's awful. Talk about that's terrible.
Yeah. So it really floored me as a diagnosis. There's no doubt that was going to be life-changing. And so I'd already gone keto / bordering on carnivore to manage weight loss and try and improve my health at the end of 2022. But as this thing got worse, and as I started to see more stuff online and great accounts of healing, I said to Michelle, I'm going to double down. I'm going to do this all meat thing. I love barbecue. I love barbecuing. I've got a smoker out the back and enjoy cooking meat anyway. And probably sounded a bit weird to her, but she was definitely supportive of it. And that was the moment. That was the clincher that I went all in as a carnivore. And long story short, I was asked to get the surgeon asked me to get an MRI because this condition was not in a great shape and he really wanted to see what was going on. MRI came back. I was expecting the worst. I'd already been carnivore for about 4 months at this point. And his response to me was, everything is normal.
Oh, holy
you
cow.
You can manage this with your general practitioner from now on.
Well, did you tell him what you had done so he can tell other patients to come to him?
No, I hadn't listened to. I literally got a call to say, don't come in for your next appointment because they're quite expensive. And whatever. Yeah. So I got a call from his office to, at first it was actually a bit sort of, well, he could have told me himself, but anyway, I got a call from the office and that was the information I got. And so I also got the MRI myself and took that to my GP, and there's a lot of jargon in there I don't understand, but he decoded that for me. And it was all terms like mild scarring.
What did your GP say? Did your GP
he's floored. He's floored. He doesn't know I'm doing carnivore, but he knows I'm keto, and he's actually quite supportive of that. When I first went keto, I was like, and I'd lost quite a bit of weight. I had a checkup. He's like, "Oh, what? You've lost some weight? What's going on?" I said, "Oh, I've cut out bread, cut out sugar," and he just looked at me and said, "Well, just keep cutting out the bread. Just keep doing what you're doing." He had no real concerns. Which was really encouraging. I haven't been back to see him for months. So I was knocking on his door fairly regularly at one point, and I haven't been there for months. I'm touch wood as I say all this, so you really don't want to jinx your progress, but man.
You can't jinx it on this, I don't think. Your body's healing and doing what it's meant to do. When your body's completely inflamed, it can't heal. I had a scorpion bite, a scorpion sting.
Right.
And I don't know if you have scorpions in Australia, but in the West, we have them here. And it hurts bad, and it was a huge lump of scar tissue for years. I got it in the field back when I was in the Army, so that was 2017. I got stung, maybe 2016, and that lump never went away, and I always had it, and it just bugged me because like, man, my arm's got this big lump. It's completely gone, completely. After I went carnivore, I just looked down one day and I was like, wait, which arm was stung? And I'm looking, I'm like, this is the arm, but it's not there. There's just a tiny little fleck of where it stung me. And it had been a lump of scar tissue, and the scar tissue went away. My ankle scar tissue went away, and that's an injury from the military, a service-related injury. And I couldn't run since 2017. Now I'm running again. It is a miracle diet.
It truly is.
Because basically the body is a miracle machine because it can heal itself. Yeah. And once you get rid of all that inflammation from you're fighting from all the seed oils and all the crap in your body's just fighting and fighting 24/7. Once you get rid of all that, it can just go to work, and it does. And that's the amazing thing. It just does amazing healing. Yeah. And you said it when you talked about a life-changing event. That's one of the things that I like to key on is there are not many events in life that are life-changing. They're truly life-changing. And I like to talk about it's kind of a change of identity, right? Like when you become a father, when you get married.
Yep.
You change your identity. You're a husband now. When you graduate from a military school, you're a soldier or a sailor or an airman. Those are life-changing events. Even graduating college, that could be, well, maybe it's not anymore, but back in the day it was. If you've done something that's an accomplishment, you come out and you're a different person. And I think this is something beyond just a diet. And that's why it's, one, sustainable, and two, why it's so different, because everything changes. Your mindset, your attitude, your energy level. And I was going to ask you about this too, because of your mindset and the energy level. How is it being a father and a husband? How better equipped are you, or are there problems because of it? Tell me about being a father and a husband. Do you think you're better at it?
Yeah, infinitely. Like I said before, that energy that I have is definitely infectious. I can see that with my kids. We've got a swimming pool in the backyard. When the kids jump in, I may have jumped in the past, but I would have had a t-shirt on to cover the fat, because I was embarrassed of being a big guy.
I was there. Yeah, the same way.
Yeah. No, I just rip off my shirt. They can see the difference.
Oh yeah.
Dad's got self-confidence all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly.
And Michelle can see that too. I mowed the lawn the other day, and I was covered in flecks of dirt and grass. I just stripped off to my undies and jumped in the pool, and to hell with it. It's the small wins. That was a fantastic experience. Oh yeah, it's busy having 4 sons, picking them. They work at McDonald's, and they need lifts here and there to friends, and so I'm far more equipped. That's the other thing, not drinking as well. So if I get a phone call at 9 o'clock at night, can you come and pick me up? Sure.
Yeah,
I'm capable of driving. I'm sober. There's no problems, and all those things. And in terms of being a husband, well, I'm far more attentive. I'm not out of it on whiskey or sleeping on the couch.
I wonder if my marriage would still be around. I mean, how many marriages broke up because of this? And would those marriages still be there if they had been on a carnivore diet? I really wonder that. I wonder a lot of things.
I guess the negative spin on it is that I am the only true carnivore in the family. The boys are definitely starting to eat more meat, and Michelle is too. But there's that element that you're eating separate meals to your family. But they've all got really used to that, and I do try and eat with them as much as possible. I only eat twice a day, but they're eating 3 times a day and still having snacks. But we all support each other. I'm very fortunate in that sense. I do have mates where I could almost imagine their wives saying, "You're not doing this." But Michelle has been with me the whole way. And you lead by example, right? I'm not a preachy guy. I would never tell someone what to do or how to eat or how to drink. But if you're getting these amazing positive benefits and that's radiating off you at home, people are going to pick up on that and maybe give it a shot.
Yeah, my son did.
Yeah.
And,
I've heard that. Yeah.
I didn't force him. I put a shelf on the bottom, and I put all his food there, and I made 2 different meals. I'd make myself burger patties or whatever, a steak, and make him different foods. And last summer, he decided, hey, can I do it? Because I want to heal my foot. I'm like, yeah, it might heal your foot. You can try it. So he did it, and now he loves it. But the thing I did with him was I'd play YouTube videos and listen to them with interviews with Dr. Chafee and stuff, and listen to him on the way after picking up from school, so he'd hear it. And we discussed stuff sometimes. So that's what I did, just to expose him to it.
How old is he?
Very supportive. He's 14. And
great, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great age, and I can't imagine being 14. Like I said, he plays soccer and runs, and he runs cross country and track. And he shaved 3 minutes off his 3-mile time and set PRs on every race this year when he ran. And then he actually placed in his first race, which is a top 5 finish. And and he beat people on his team he's never beat before. And it's fun to watch him before a race because all the teammates are carbing up. They're all getting these bags the coach hands out with oranges and protein bars with sugar in it to get ready for the race. And Colton just drinks water. He just watches them. And they're all eating, and he's just like drinking water. And he goes out.
And they're just carbing up, getting ready to crash half an hour later.
Exactly.
I remember that, when my boy was playing rugby, that was the halftime thing, oranges and sports drinks and all that stuff.
He doesn't do that anymore, so it's good. So what would you say is your greatest challenges with carnivore?
I personally have got once I put my mind to something, my constitution is really strong. I think I have pretty good willpower. people have commented on that in the past. So the greatest challenges tie into the family question, getting used to eating differently or separately to my family. And Christmas and the holiday season presented challenges, not because of temptation. I didn't have any pie or pudding or trifle or any of that. I didn't want to. But my mother-in-law has routinely made me trifle every Christmas for 20 years. And having to explain to her, I'm not going to eat your trifle this year. That's kind of challenging, but at the same time, then when it ties back to these gut issues and the seriousness of my health, they all get it.
And the social aspect is different.
Yeah, that's about it. When I quit drinking, I lost a best friend. Yeah, because he didn't want to quit drinking, and we were drinking pals. And we haven't, hopefully he's not watching this, but we haven't spoken for months. So there's been a dip in that, but I've met so many great people online and like-minded people. I'm probably communicating with great people more than I was back when I was eating a standard diet anyway. That's been fantastic.
Yeah, that's a fact. It's stimulating, intellectually stimulating to be in this community.
Yeah, 100%. And the people I've met from all age groups and walks of life. And I've made some really solid friends already. And I'm only at the start of the journey.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
At this stage anyway. So challenges, but personally, the second I heard about this and wanted to try it, I was in. Okay, I will be honest. Coffee has been a challenge.
Are you off it?
I'm really trying hard. Really freaking coffee. Coffee is a damn addictive drug.
It's hard.
And I remember we've had this chat once before in a live stream, Larry. It's only 2 days of pain. It doesn't. The withdrawals 2 or 3 days, 4 days. I really need to put on my big boy pants and just do it. Especially because it's the one thing that still irritates my gut a little bit. It definitely does. I'm just when I get up pretty early every day, I get up about 4:30, and that routine of having that coffee first thing in the day is tough to break. I think it's with alcohol. I was alcoholic in the sense that I couldn't mentally stop drinking every day, but when I stopped drinking, I didn't have physical withdrawals. Yeah. So I don't know. Coffee is a really powerful drug.
Combination of both physical and mental. So when I went carnivore, I drank coffee and alcohol the first 90 days. I quit both of them when I went lion. After about 100 days, I went lion and lost 13 pounds immediately. Felt better. And I didn't have a problem quitting coffee that time. It was so weird. It was easy. I drank hot bone broth every morning and I put butter and Redmond.
That's a good idea.
I put Redmond smoked salt in there to give a little bit of a smoky flavor. So I had smoky bone broth, beef or chicken, didn't matter. Well, actually it was beef because I was lion. I did that every day for about a week and then I stopped. I didn't need it anymore after that. And it was easy. And then I reintroduced it a few months back because I thought I'm fine and it didn't really affect. So I'm not lying anymore. So I'll drink coffee. So I started coffee and then I got arthritis in flared up in my ankle and my shoulder again. And I thought it was because I thought my ankle was because I was running sprints. I thought I ran too hard and I was like, oh, I flared it up. I did that. And then one day my shoulder hurt, which is an injury from the military too. And I thought, I must have slept wrong on it. So I was coming up with these ideas of I caused this. And then I did an interview with someone and she said, are you drinking coffee when I talked about my arthritis? I'm like, yeah. She goes, quit it and it'll probably go away. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. And I did. And now it's gone. The arthritis is gone. But this time when I quit it, I had a headache for 3 days and it was a terrible headache. I didn't want to, it was bad. So I'd say I never had bad days on carnivore. Those 3 days were pretty bad. They were like, I wasn't in a bad mood, but I just didn't feel as motivated to go do stuff. It hurt so bad. It was pounding. It was really real. So second time was harder for me. So weird.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's terribly addictive mentally and physically. So I'm slightly scared of withdrawing from it. But like I say, I wouldn't
go through it though. Write that escrow check to yourself. Remember?
Right? After I watched that video, that came to mind 100%. I really need to make a deal with myself.
Make a deal with yourself.
Yeah, because I know within myself, if I cut it out, I'll go next level again
and save money.
I know. and save money. And
I was spending over $100 a month on coffee, I think. Between when I got it home, because I got good coffee, and then going out and having coffee, I was spending probably $100 a month. So that's $1,200 a year. So that's a vacation in my book that I was spending on coffee, right?
Yeah.
So
I put butter in it. I put butter in it, so that's like getting my fat. You still justify it. You know, this is the thing. Your subconscious mind,
it does
controlling the conscious mind. It's ridiculous. You're always at odds with yourself.
Book.
You know?
Yeah, you're reading Mitchell's book.
Exactly.
That's
the beast
funny.
within. So the beast is still coffee. Anyway.
Yeah, you can make deals with yourself all day long. You can justify everything. It's so easy. That's why that making a deal with yourself with the escrow, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a video out that I get a hot response on that. Some people hate it. A lot of people hate it. A lot more people like it though. But
I liked it.
It's just making a deal with yourself where you're going to, and so here's the deal. If I did make a $25,000 deal with you, you're actually saving more money than that on your surgeries that you're not having. So you're making more than $25,000 on not getting surgery, right? And here's the deal. I don't know. My life, I would not. No one could pay me $25,000 to force back on the old standard diet, because my life quality would be terrible again. I would no longer be like I am now, and you can't pay me to go back. So
no. I mean, like I said, I actually commented on your escrow video. The health benefits are priceless. You can't put a figure on feeling like a new person. You can't. You can't.
No, you can't.
And that's when like you said before, that's when the regrets come up. I wish I'd done this sooner.
Yeah.
Why did I spend 20 years living this inflamed life? But you can't look. No regrets.
That's my biggest challenge too. Is being a single guy going on dates with non-carnivores is really not great. It's hard because a lot of them see me as a freak, or I talk about carnivore too much, maybe, or because I talk about it. I do. I talk about things. And
that's the thing. Even if you go out and say, let's go to a steakhouse, you're still going to have that challenge of, do they use seed oils?
Yep.
For me, I have and this is the great thing about the Lion diet, and I've been Lion for quite a while. The elimination aspect of Lion allowed me. So the one slip up I had at Christmas was I allowed the guys who were cooking me steak on Boxing Day to add lots of cracked pepper.
Oh, wow.
And man, that flared me up something chronic. And
people talk about pepper being okay, and it's like, nah, not really. It depends. It's maybe N equals 1. Maybe it's okay, but you won't know until you cut it out.
Yeah, and I had an immediate flare up. A rash that I have in my thighs came back, and obviously, that's the only thing you've had different. So
oxalate.
That's what's flared you up. Yeah, and
it's
that cracked pepper as well. So it's got the husk that you can't digest.
Yeah,
and so
our body gets so much more sensitive, to that stuff after you've been on a clean diet, which is great. That's what's supposed to be.
Yeah, it tells you what's wrong.
Yeah, so let's talk about your YouTube channel, man. Why would you start a YouTube channel? Because have you always wanted to be a YouTuber? Is that what's going on here?
Absolutely not. And if I could rewind and tell Pete 1 year ago that you're going to be a YouTuber in a year, absolutely ridiculous. What a laugh. So I'm a TV editor by trade, so I've got the skills to make videos. And that's something. So I've thought about moving from television to online in the past, because the industry is always evolving and the space is always evolving. The way people consume media is always evolving. But in the past, whenever I've thought of that, I've thought of who's a YouTuber I can hook up with and supply editing skills to them. And across that sort of way of thinking crossed my mind a few months ago. And it just hit me like that, because I just started noticing that I wasn't anxious anymore. So I recently realized that my depression and anxiety had pretty much completely gone.
Yep.
That was the whole thing. I was spending hours driving along, going places. I should really be anxious right now. Why the hell am I not anxious? And so then it just hit me. Well, if I want to cut for a YouTuber, I'll just cut for myself. I'll be the YouTuber, because I have a message. I have a niche. I have an interest in this diet. And like many of others have said, I want to share the good news and spread the message. And that was still a daunting thought. So I actually, this ties into what I actually sat down and wrote a letter to myself.
Nice.
And I said to myself, this will be the best thing you have ever done in terms of your own self-esteem, getting over your ability of being scared of public speaking, and putting yourself out there. And I wrote in the letter, do it, do it, do it.
Good deal, man. I like it.
Yeah. And I did it. And my wife is still spinning out. Like, this is a new me. This is a whole new me that she's got to get used to.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I've done 2 videos so far, and I've been camera facing. And that's challenging for someone who's in the past lived in the shadows. And I would avoid, we had a meeting called at work. I was the king of avoidance. I was really good at coming up with a reason for not attending the meeting. I hated being in a room with other people with the door closed and feeling that fear again of wanting to run away from having that terrible panic attack in the past. And so what I promised to myself in that letter, that this will help you overcome, it has.
Yeah.
And filming this, just put out a second video. Filming that video felt much easier, much more natural.
Yeah, it gets
watching
easier.
Myself. Yeah, watching myself as I'm cutting myself, becoming less critical of myself. When you are a sort of low self-esteem sort of person, you're expecting a flurry of comments about the way you look or the way you present. Yeah. Touch wood, that hasn't happened. People have been supportive and just fantastic. So that's why I started it. So it was selfish. It was to overcome the fear of the fear, but also spread this message.
Yeah, the message resonates, man. And that's what people key in on these videos. It's not us, it's the message, right? And in the Army, we have a saying that I used to love, which I still love, is you make a plan and then you work the plan and then you proceed as though success is inevitable. And that's what you do. You just proceed like it can't be stopped.
Yep.
And something has to stop you, right? And it's a bullet or articulary shell, but in this, it's just there's nothing here to stop us, right? So we just proceed.
I said that very thing. When I was telling my 16-year-old about it, I said that. I said, failure is not an option here. This is happening. This will happen. And whether it gets big or continues small, I really don't mind. I'm just going to keep it up and develop those skills.
Well, here you go. What are your goals this year for the YouTube channel or overall, like in 5 years? What do you think? What would you like to see? What would be a successful YouTube channel for you?
Okay, I'm just a guy, right? I'm a creative person with a creative mind. I love music. I love video. Those are my skills. I have a fairly good grasp of concepts. I can read literature and understand it and retain that information. But I'm not Nick Horowitz or someone like Mitch who's got a great scientific mind. That's not my bag. I'm not an authority in medicine like Ken Berry or Chafee. So what can I offer? So my goals are to develop my offering. At the moment, it's fairly simple because I'm just sharing my story. And I think my story is interesting enough that I can ride on that for a while and continue doing that in various ways. But that's gonna hit a brick wall at some point. People just don't want to watch the same video over and over and over. So my goals are, how do I develop that? Do I do more interviews?
Yeah. For me, it's evolved. Like I started talking about boot camp, like how to do it, first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So I was just, and then after that, I started doing, I'm going to do carnivore movies and then the movie reviews.
Yeah.
And then I did some walk and talks. I just tried different formats and just saw what worked. And the thing that worked the best was my carnivore community thing, which when I wake up with a thought in the morning and I just drive in, and I don't have any scripts. A lot of guys script stuff. I just don't script. I got to talk just from the way it is. So I'll go back and edit it, but I'm just going to talk. So like Mitch does, I'm just going to go ahead and talk. And I'm not a scientist either. What I bring to the table is a veteran perspective, and I'm a motivator. I know I was a chief warrant officer in the Army. I can lead men and women, and I know I can motivate them. So I just talk the way I talk to soldiers. It's kind of the way I cut it, and that's my need.
It cuts through, man. Like it really cuts through. I know
the bottom line up front, the bluff.
Yeah, straight up, tell it how it is. And it's really inspiring to watch your stuff.
Well, I appreciate it.
And the movie reviews of, the Castaway one was great. That's one of my favorite movies. So I was really glad you picked up on that. That's a great movie.
It is. I watched it the other day. I'm gonna do it on Squid Game. I don't know if you saw when I was talking about that, but Squid Game. It's going to be about the why.
That'd be great.
Because these guys go back on the second time knowing they could die, and they stay there because the why. They develop the why, and that's what this is about. And that's the whole thing. If you develop the why and you trust the process, if you have those two things, you will succeed 100%. And that's what it takes. So People don't trust the process, or they would do it, or they don't have a why, and it's not big enough, or they do it. Like your why was huge. You were facing a hellish year.
Yeah. And being poorly mentally equipped to face those health issues as well. You're not going to cope with a string of surgeries if you're depressed and anxious. You're just not.
Oh, I know.
So the why is pretty huge. And then the why for doing the channel was also huge. I want to overcome the fear. And throwing yourself in the deep end is the best way to do that.
Well, and that's not something you'd ever do before Carnivore. I stay with me.
No, not a chance.
The why changes too, right? The why changes. The why went from just losing weight to health, and realizing. Then the why became, I like who I am now. I don't like who I was. I never want to be that person again, because this is the new me. This is that identity thing. I am Larry the Carnivore now, who does these things, and that's what I always want to be. So now I feel like I set a much better example for my son and my friends than I did before. I wasn't as good of a friend. I wasn't as good of a father. And now I am. I'm much better at all these things. And I don't want to ever go back. So my why has changed. That's fine. That's okay. You can move your why, shift it to the right as you go and grow it.
Have you noticed that with your son, like the way he perceives you or even sort of looks or listens to you has changed?
Yeah, I think so. One day, in fact, last week, I was deep in thought and thinking about something, and he came up to me and he goes, "Dad, is everything okay?" Because he hadn't seen my face look like that in a long time.
Okay.
And I wasn't. I'm like, yeah, what's up? He goes, "You just looked like you weren't happy or something." I'm like, no, I'm just thinking. I'm not. And he hasn't seen me that way since March 22nd, so 9 months. So I think
that's fascinating.
Yeah, and we just go do stuff now. We do a lot of hikes together. We bike ride. We're just much more active doing things together. And for sure, my whole attitude, my whole energy level is different with him. So 100%. I feel like I'm such a better dad. And again, I wish I had been this the whole time, right? But I'm not. So you can't turn the clock back, even though I call this my hot time machine. It is for me because it makes me go back. But it's pretty amazing.
No regrets. Yeah, I mean, my whole attitude. So I'm pushing 50. There's no doubt that a year ago, when I was at my physical worst,
right,
I've had points where the depression was bad enough that I've laid in bed and prayed to be taken that night. Just please God, don't let me wake up. I've done that stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's to look back on that now. It's quite, I don't know, quite sad really to think that I was that way. But the contrast is just so huge.
And there's so many people that are out there that are like that right now. My neighbors probably on this street. I probably have several people that are like that right now. At least I'd say 3 or 4, maybe more, who are in that condition. And this is the reason for my YouTube channel. My goal is to get, and it's not about subscribers, but it's really about views and influence, just to get the message out, right? So I do want subscribers because a successful YouTube channel is more likely to be picked up by the algorithm and more likely to be shared. And that's the reason I want, not because I'm trying to make money as a YouTuber, because I have real careers, as I talked to you earlier. I'm a wireless network engineer. I own a company. This is a side gig of passion. This is a passion project. And it's for you too, I know. And so I do want, and my goal this year is to get to 25,000 subscribers. So I got to 6,000 New Year's Eve. That was at 6,003 at midnight.
Fantastic.
And I started in August. So August 7th. So August, September, October, November, December. So it wasn't even a half a year. I hit 6,000. I really, really want to get this to 25,000 so that I'm actually making a bigger impact. And then I want to really reach out to more veterans and more first responders. So that's my goal, and to make real connections with people like you, which I'm making tons of friends like you are. I have people that I now count as friends all over the world. The UK, I got a lot of people in the UK, you guys down in Australia, a lot of people around the country too, that I'm actually driving to Orlando. Yeah, I'm driving to Orlando. We go every year to roller coasters, and we used to go to Disney World, but now we're going to Universal Studios. And when I drive down to Orlando, I stop at my dad's down by Spanish Fort, Alabama, by Pensacola. But I'm driving past 2 YouTubers that are veterans that I've interviewed on my Mission Carnivore podcast, and I'm going to stop by and see those guys and meet them in person, which is great. I've been hanging with them, I know them, and totally looking forward to having a date with those guys, man. It's going to be fun, and my son's coming with me. And then the other thing is, you talk about the jumping in the deep end, right, in public speaking. Well, I have my first live meetup coming this Saturday, the 13th. here in Texas, and we have 47 people signed up to show up that I have never met, that are just viewers of YouTube in Texas. Yep. Okay. And so I've shared it out on Facebook pages. So they're not all from my group either. Some are carnivores from other groups, but they just saw the live meetup, and it's going to be fantastic. My son's going to be there. He's going to be taking pictures and videoing stuff, and it's going to be amazing. And I'm not sure what we're going to do, but we're going to eat some barbecue that's amazing. I know that. And we're going to have some fun.
And you're going to document that, and that we'll get to see that on the channel?
Yeah, we're going to I might even do a live stream. I don't know yet. Yeah, we'll definitely have pictures and videos, and we'll talk about it. But I will do a video about it, or a live stream, or both. So there'll be something about it, but it'll be documented. We'll have all the people there.
DC lives about 45 minutes away from me, so we spoke yesterday after the stream, and we're going to catch up. Yeah, and we're going to have a barbecue. We might try and stream from the barbecue.
That'd be great.
Might do an across the table style podcast together.
The
possibilities are brilliant. Yeah.
I might as well share it, because that's what this is all. This is all about making connections, really, right? Connecting with people is that's what my goal is, to connect with people. And I do. And you probably see it. You've only been doing this YouTube for a few weeks now, but you see it. When I wake up in the morning, I see the comments. I see people saying thank you. I see people saying things. I'm like, I'm just sharing. But I'm motivating people apparently, and they're like, thanks I needed to hear this, or and they ask questions, and I like to answer. I try to answer every email personally and every comment personally. I know I won't be able to forever, but while I can, I
feel the same way about that. But like you say, it's been very new for me, but I have had a comment already from someone who's saying I've inspired them to give up the bottle.
That's great, man.
And it took me a day to digest that. That blew me away. It blew me away. It's the corny catchphrase, if you can help one person, you've done your job.
Yeah.
So
it's like the butterfly effect.
You want to help more than one, but that blew me away. Fantastic.
Yeah, I see that stuff. I see a lot of that stuff, and it's pretty good. It's life-changing, like I said. And YouTube's changing too. It's changing things in my life. So, I'm thankful for this platform. A lot of people complain about it. I get people that want to make money at it complain because they have to share with YouTube, whatever. I don't care. I'm not in it for the money, so it doesn't matter to me. So I'm really just doing it it's a passion project. And that's what my deal is. You couldn't pay me.
It's a great platform.
Yeah, it is. It is a great platform. It works really well. I wish their algorithm was more fair. And I wish they weren't leaning towards the WHO for the food stuff. But I mean, I get that. That's a valid complaint. But if you simply go to Rumble and stuff, they just don't have the search algorithm. They don't have the tools that you have here. So this is really the way to go. It is now maybe in 10 years, that'll be different. It might be, right? With AI and everything. Who knows?
But I think even that in itself is good motivation to push the message, because you're up against a behemoth of an organization like the WHO and Google themselves. So hopefully they don't censor us too hard, and we can just keep screaming from the rooftops.
Yeah, and that's why making connections is so important, and why making communities so important. Community is the key, because that's how you connect. People are missing that connection too. And once your mind's straight and your body's healing, making connection is what you want to do anyway. You just want to connect with people. Whereas before, I avoided connection. Okay, on the old diet, I avoided connection. I did not want to go out. I did not want to be in crowds. I did not want to go to a party and meet people. That's not what I wanted to do. I want to sit home. And now I look forward to and want to connect. So
I would have considered myself a classic introvert before this diet.
Right.
I'm not anymore. I crave social contact.
Yeah. All right. So how can people follow you or get in contact with you besides your YouTube channel, which is at the Primal Timeline, at the Primal Timeline?
Yeah.
Right? That's right. Okay.
Yep. That's the one. So I've also got a Gmail account with the same handle, theprimaltimeline@gmail.com.
Okay.
So feel free to email me there. And I've also got an account on X as well, a Twitter account. So at this stage, I don't have Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. I've actually, again, probably more of a sign of the old me. I got off Facebook about 11, 12 years ago because I didn't like the social aspect of it. So I'm just not on there. But I'm on X and I'm on Gmail.
Good deal, man. That's great.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun talking to you, Pete. I really enjoy your company, and one day
great.
we'll meet up. I've always wanted to go to Australia. Maybe I'll make it down there sometime.
Come on down, or maybe I've never been to the States, so I would love to do that as well.
Texas is the best state. That's all I gotta tell you.
We
have the best meat.
Texas.
We have a barbecue on every corner here. So the thing is, when you're driving around and you're hungry, you can just pull into a barbecue and get like brisket with fat all over it. It's amazing, and it's just smoked, just smoked brisket. So
there's not much of that here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know, but you can make your own because you got a smoker. So
exactly.
All right, man. It's been awesome. I'm going to drop you out. Stick around for a minute. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, and then we'll chat for a minute. All right, guys. Another great talk. Pete's just a wonderful guy. Check out his channel. Support YouTubers. Find new YouTubers like him. Like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that when they make videos, you need to watch them right when they come out, because there's a golden hour when that video hits where they see what subscribers do when they get the video. And if subscribers all watch it, then the algorithm shares it out with non-subscribers. So that's pretty important. So definitely you can get in the fight if you're not going to make a YouTube channel. Just like and subscribe and follow these guys. All right, guys. All I got to say is stay strong and overcome. Carnivore Soldier out.